I'd like to introduce you to the Scholarly Implementation Signature Assignment. This signature assignment is based on the ideal research plans that were selected from the Scholarly Design course. You'll work in small groups to take part in a mock or simulated implementation of a research project that will continue throughout the term and be conducted both in a group and parts done individually. So far in the class, you've probably already presented your ideal research plans as if you were asking for funding, and conducted a survey on whose projects should get funded. Based on that survey, particular ideal research plans were selected, and you should be, or will be soon, aligning yourself within a small group to continue those research plans. Once the research plans have been selected and you've formed your small groups, you'll take part in part 1 of the signature assignment, which is a mock IRB. As a group, you'll develop a full IRB proposal and informed consent using the USA IRB format, and each group will take a turn defending their IRB and informed consent to a simulated IRB committee and also being the simulated IRB committee. These simulated IRBs will be done either virtually or face-to-face, depending on the setup of your class. As the defending group, you will be answering questions and explaining why you chose particular methods within your IRB and informed consent, or particular ways of stating things. You'll also be taking notes on things that need to be changed in order to have your IRB or informed consent approved. As the mock IRB committee, it's your responsibility to review the proposal and informed consent ahead of time and use the USA IRB checklist to determine what questions you need answered and what things need to be adjusted within the group's plan in order to be approved. At the end of the simulated IRB, you should be able to submit an IRB and informed consent that incorporates the edits or suggestions provided during the simulated IRB presentations in order to provide an approved IRB. Part 2 of the research takes a little bit different turn. You're actually going to be conducting survey research. Survey research allows you to both create a research tool and disseminate the tool, collect evidence, and analyze that data within the short window of time we have within this course. Based on your group project, you'll work with your instructor to help develop a method for turning your ideal research plan, either all or part of it, into an appropriate survey research project. If you did a qualitative research project, it may be slightly easier, especially if you did one where you were asking participants questions. Those can be turned into open-ended research questions that are conducted through a written survey. If you were doing something like observation, it might be a little bit more challenging, and you'll work with your instructor to make that fit. If you did a quantitative research project where you were doing something like a pre-test, post-test with an intervention, you may wonder, how would I turn that into a survey research project? Take, for example, an ideal research plan where you were going to conduct a pre-test, post-test on participants who have had cancer treatments who were receiving occupational therapy services to see if using yoga along with traditional occupational therapy services improved participants' quality of life and reduced pain more than traditional occupational therapy. In this instance, I wouldn't be able to do a pre-test and post-test where I actually used two groups, one who got traditional occupational therapy and one who got yoga and traditional occupational therapy, to see whether I made a difference or whether a difference existed. What I would do in this case is create a survey research that could actually be conducted within our time frame. I might want to examine whether people who have had cancer treatments have explored the use of yoga within their treatment to reduce pain and what effects they have had, if any. Maybe I survey all cancer people who have received cancer treatments who have also received occupational therapy to determine if yoga is being used in conjunction with occupational therapy in traditional practices. There's many different methods that I could take to turn my ideal research plan into a survey research project, and your instructors will help you do that. You can use both open and closed-ended questions or a mix to conduct your survey. You'll need to create an appropriate survey using the information that you learn within the class so that it is well designed. You'll disseminate your surveys to the rest of the class who will act as your mock participants. These surveys will be disseminated electronically. All students will complete each survey that was not the group that they conducted, which is not their group's survey. For example, if there are 10 groups, 10 ideal research plans being conducted within the class, you will be taking 9 of the surveys. You'll receive a bit of information about who they're polling or who they're researching, the population that they're researching, and why they're doing the research when you receive the survey so that you can answer the questions appropriately. What's important in this is that you're collecting data that you can then analyze, not necessarily whether you're getting the most realistic results using mock participants. The third step is data analysis. Don't get too hung up on the words here right now. You'll learn a lot more about data analysis as you move through the course. But based on the data you collect from the surveys, you're going to select an appropriate method to analyze the data. You'll submit both the data, a description of the analysis techniques that you chose with a justification for why those were appropriate, and a short write-up of the results of your data analysis in APA format. Next, you'll be presenting a poster presentation, which requires both a 10-minute oral presentation and a visual poster, which may be done virtually or face-to-face to the rest of your class. As part of this presentation, you will disseminate the results of your simulated research project. It's expected that all group members participate in the oral presentation. You'll be critiqued by your peers, you'll critique yourself, and your instructors will critique you also. The final stage of the signature assignment is done individually. A student will reflect on their avenues for future research based on the data analysis and conclusions that they developed for their mock research project. They'll select a grant opportunity that would be appropriate for the future research that they've selected, and they'll justify how the research project and grant complement each other, develop scholarly goals, and propose a budget based on the grant award. This mock budget and grant opportunity would be the basis of the next steps in the scholarly process. If you have questions about this project, you should talk to your instructors. This project will span the entire length of the term and is done in both groups and individually and may be done virtually or face-to-face. Look to your instructors for more information on the setup of the groups and how you'll be presenting the information. Finally, there's a lot of teamwork involved in this signature assignment. Teamwork's not always easy, especially in an online course. In healthcare and in research, we rarely ever work as individuals. As occupational therapists, you'll be working in teams for the rest of your career. Even if the team is just you and the client, it's still a team, a collaboration. More likely, though, you're working with more than just the client. You're working with the family, with other healthcare team members like nurses, physical therapy, speech-language pathologists, social workers. You may also have administrative staff or administration that you have to work with. You need to work with reimbursement companies or insurance companies. DME providers, healthcare facilities, compliance officers, and a host of other team members. So you can see that it's really important for you to develop the skills to be a good team member and collaborate with others. In research, you rarely see people do complex research projects by themselves. They almost always have at least one other person that they're working with to conduct the research. More heads are better than one. It's important for you throughout this project to recognize your strengths and weaknesses as a group member, to make sure that you're pulling your own weight, to make sure that you are completing what the tasks that you were assigned to or selected to do on time, and that you're communicating effectively with your group. If there's issues within the group, you need to bring them to your instructor's attention immediately. Work with your instructors on where you should be posting information, how you should be conducting team meetings, and how you should be documenting who's doing what. It's important to have clearly outlined roles and make sure that everybody's being held accountable. Don't wait till the last minute to let your instructors know that you're struggling to get a team member to participate. But all team members, as graduate occupational therapy students, this should not be an issue. All team members should be conducting themselves as professionals within the group and bringing 110% to their groups at all times. Along with the signature assignment directions that'll be embedded within the class, you also have the rubrics that you should become familiar with and refer to frequently as you move through each step of the signature assignment. You can see there's one for the mock IRB, one for the survey research component, one for the data analysis component, and one for the poster presentation, and finally one for the grants. Make sure that you review them and know what it's going to take for you to achieve the highest level possible within your group and individually.